24-hour spas in China. Citi made a mistake and they made good. The new Citi coupon book is here. All of that and more coming up on MTM Travel.
They made good and then they went back to bad.
Well, Mark, we would not expect anything less from Citi, but we will get into that later in the show, discuss what happened, all of the kerfuffle going on. But how are you doing? How's your week been?
I mean, this is a sad day in the Osterman household. It's the shutdown cottage day. So got the water blown out, all the lines winterized this morning before recording, but I got kind of stuck here. So doing it here, and we're in the pee in a bottle stage of cottage life.
Nice. It's like 75 and beautiful and sunny here, so no need to do that. But I mean, you get both. I do miss having like proper seasons. Well, I don't know if I miss it because I grew up in Southern California where we really didn't have them, but I do miss the idea of having proper seasons.
I mean, fall is my favorite by far. Just the colors, the change. I love hoodies, fires, football, all that stuff. It wouldn't feel right if it's like 85 out, I don't think. The winters, yeah, I don't mind cold. I just hate how gray it can be. If it's sunny and snowy, I'm fine. If the roads are okay, then I'm fine. And it's just a couple months, of pain to get to this. But yeah, fall, this is kind of my favorite period. Maybe a couple weeks before when it's like 65, gets a little cooler at night. You're just sitting out by the fire. You can still walk along the beach in shorts and a sweatshirt, stuff like that. And yeah, this is always sad. And I think I've always been depressed on this day when we closed down the cottage, and it was always because, 6 months before we use it, we come back to check on it every once in a while in the winter. But 6 months before we use it, that must be why I'm sad. Where I think it's more each year is one less year with the kids, and that kind of hits home with something like this.
And a time to be grateful that you bought it when you did, and that you had that idea and what it's been. I've worked with you since you bought it, so I know the whole journey along the way and just how the kids have grown there. But what a different life it would have been if didn't make that decision to buy it back. What was it, right before the pandemic?
No, it was the summer of the pandemic. So it was we put the offer in I want to say July of 2020, but we didn't end up closing till October because like the bank that we were getting the loan through got bought out and pandemic stuff was all crazy. And I'm sure people that have listened to this a long time, we were worried about certain things on the house, the foundation, everything ended up being a problem down the road, which we had to fix. But yeah, just the timing of everything, because you didn't know back then. Everybody thought, okay, nobody's working, things are going to get crazy, everything's going to get cheap, the stock market's going to crash, and housing's just gone up. So we couldn't afford to buy in now the way prices are. Coming close to double in some places up here. So it's insane. And we got kind of lucky. And people looked at us when we bought, like we were above what was the norm, but this had been fully remodeled and everything. And I was like, well, it's still a really good deal. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. And then a year later, it's like, yeah, it's a really, really, really good deal.
I bet there's a lot of people like me that wish they had bought something like that, to do it, just because with Airbnb, everything just exploded after that. And so the values did everywhere, but the ability to have maybe a smaller vacation home, like a small cottage, something to get away, that became less approachable or less attainable for a lot of people.
Yeah, and Michigan's unique. We have so many lakes and everything. You can get somewhat near water for affordable prices, or you could up until now, in houses in this area. Before, we were buying like 2-3 years before, and a lot of them are like generational houses, been in families for 3-4 generations type of thing. And they started out as hunting and fishing cottages, cabins, one room, and then they would add on here and there. So they were in disrepair some, but you could buy, a house 3 blocks away from the water for like $50,000 back in 2018, 2019. It probably needed 30, 40 grand worth of work, unless you knew how to do it yourself. But they were there for the taking, and now you can't. The land isn't even that cheap anymore in most places, so it's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's 2025. People know the world is a bit crazy, but I'm glad you have that. And, it's like you say, it's the melancholy of leaving while also cherishing the memories that you make. And yeah, one last year. I think that's just part of getting older and being a parent, watching your kids grow. And then they get to a certain point where you realize, like, let's say there's 18 years of being a kid, which really isn't the case because they're off doing their own things as they're teenagers and stuff. But once they get past that, like 9, 10 year, you realize that you have less time to go and how fast the time already went.
Yeah, and you don't in the first 10 years, you're like, "Oh, I can't wait till they're older and I don't have to do everything for them and, get a little peace and quiet." And that is nice. It's nice if you can go out to dinner and leave your kids at home and all of that stuff and kind of reconnect with your spouse. But, you don't have that like just joy that they show you. And they're more, annoyed by you than anything at this stage in life. So it's hard. And it'll come full circle. I think people need their parents a bit more in their 20s when they're trying to figure out life on their own. And then, of course, whenever they have kids. So we'll go through these cycles. But yeah, teen years are tough for many reasons.
So I've been playing Mr. Mom the last week, like I talked about on the show last week. My wife's trip down to Mexico turned into, she was there for the entire mourning period for her grandmother, which was cool that she got to have that cultural experience. I've seen some videos. It's very different than, I mean, I've been married for 25 years to somebody born in Mexico of Mexican culture. I didn't realize the 9 days of mourning and like this very specific thing that they do. And one of the biggest things that I was like shocked to learn is when her grandmother passed, they came to the house. They didn't have like a mortuary. They came to the house, made up the body, and then the body sat there for a couple days in the living room on an altar before they buried it. And they obviously bury it within 2 days so that there's no decomposition and stuff. But I didn't know that there you go. You are in your own house on your own altar. Kind of an interesting little cultural quirk.
Yeah, that is. I didn't know that either. And that is interesting that they do it at your house. I could see having the reception and stuff and having the casket at your house, but I wouldn't think that they would do all the procedures and everything. And when you grow up with something that's just normal, and then, we don't do that here. So it's kind of like, oh, I don't want a body in my house for 2 days, but is probably a special moment and time, and everybody comes, and then you get more freedom where that you can come and go as you please over 2 days. People that want to visit and pay their respects to the family and everything like that. So it is more personable than going to a funeral home for like 3 hours and just standing there, and that's always a little bit uncomfortable. So maybe this is a better way to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would want to sleep in the house with the body. I don't know. My
Yeah,
wife got there the day
get a
of the
hotel.
funeral. Yeah, no, she got there the day of the funeral, so
Yeah.
she's been in the house. But her grandmother was already buried. The other sort of takeaway I had is just the communal aspect of Mexican culture, something that I did know, but just seeing some of the videos of the whole town. They live in this small town, coming together for the funeral, for these prayers every day, and culminating in this big sort of party at the end. And I use party loosely, but lots of food, lots of prayers, lots of that sort of stuff. And it's a beautiful thing. And my wife was talking about some of her sisters are here. They weren't able to make the trip. And this last weekend, one of them was at Universal Studios Hollywood, and she's just exhausted from being there. Can you imagine all of this, having to deal with her mom and dealing with all this? And I said, the experience, sure, going to Universal Studios would have been great, but like, you got the actual experience of saying goodbye to your grandmother, doing the cultural traditions, being there and being part of it. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah, I think that's really special and something that, Miles and Points makes easier for people. A lot of times, if you have to do that last minute flight, like we talked about last time, it could be $800,000, and people don't have that kind of money. Where with Miles and Points, you're like, okay, I have this stash, I'll use it for this. And then, sometimes you'll have hotel costs that you could offset with points and stuff too. So it gives us opportunity to spend more time with family, especially in the biggest time of needs, which is great. And yeah, getting to spend the whole 9 days there, I think is pretty amazing.
So she is ready to come home. And this is the funniest thing. We didn't know what her flight was. We didn't have a flight book because she didn't know exactly when she was coming back. So a couple of days ago, she finally made the decision to come back today. And she wanted to come back so fast. So Sunday was the last day of prayers and all of that. So she had to be there through that. And she's like, just get me on the 6 a.m. flight out of Mexico City. Instead of, I said, go to Mexico City on Monday, spend the night, and then fly out Tuesday morning. She's like, no. So she got on a bus in this little town, which is 4 hours from Mexico City, at like midnight, took the bus overnight, got
Oh,
to the airport,
mm.
and then is flying home because she wants to be home in her own bed. So that tells you homesickness. You can love your culture, where you're from, all of the stuff, but sometimes there's nothing as good as your own bed and being at home.
Well, that and family is always tough, especially when you have a ton of it around all the time, and you don't have your own space to think or just get away. So I could imagine after like 3 days, you're probably just exhausted dealing with people and talking and all that stuff, and there's no escape from it. So I could see it. I definitely would not get on a bus at 12 a.m. and then get on a 6 a.m. flight, but I could see wanting to get out of there. I'd probably want to decompress one night, like you said, in Mexico City.
Yeah, that baffled me. I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I mean, it's not always the safest to be in those buses either. But anyway, she did it, and she made it to Mexico City okay. So she'll be home this afternoon, and it's been fun to have a week with, or 9 days, 10 days with Ellie, just the two of us. And it's interesting how the dynamics change when one of the parents is gone. In our case, my daughter is much more well behaved. She's like right by her mom's side all the time, but when mom's not around, she listens to dad. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think they learn to not push buttons a certain way. Sometimes kids will play one parent off the other and stuff like that. Like they play the mind games just like everybody else, and they get pretty good at it. And they don't have that safety net of the other parent, so they definitely act differently, which is always kind of fun.
All right, so let's get into some of the meat of the show. Citi and their new Globe MasterCard, their new coupon book. Is that what we're calling this? They
I don't
definitely
know.
joined the ranks. I mean, this is a coupon book if I've ever seen one. $350 annual fee, and the welcome offers what, 90,000 Advantage miles after 5,000 in spend.
Yeah, which that I mean, in and of itself, it's a decent offer. It's up there for Advantage miles. We see the 100,000 point offer sometimes come on the more expensive card, but this one has a more reasonable annual fee. I just, it's like City can't get out of their own way with these cards. The Strata Elite or Premier Elite, whatever the hell, with these stupid Strata crappy names. But we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. It's like they had two chances to really kind of come back out and be a name in the market, and they missed on both. Like this could have been just take the Summit card from Alaska and do the same thing for American, and it would be great, and people would love it, and it would be unique. And that's what we talked about that I like so much about the Summit card is it rolled into the program and it made a lot of sense, and there was nice perks that come along with being in that program and useful things for people that really enjoy those miles. And AA is like, oh, we'll just, we'll give you some miles on the sign up and then we'll throw in some crappy coupons and call it a day because this is what we do.
So let's go over some of the interesting perks here. You get 4 Admiral Club Globe passes, which are actually good because they're not blocked out in the same way that other Admirals Club passes are blocked out. And then you get in a $99 companion certificate for a domestic AA flight and a $100 credit to spend on board. So, I mean, between those three things, but you also do get a $30 a month Turo credit, I guess, to give you. I mean, you talk about a coupon.
Do
That
you?
Turo benefit is as much of a Turo.
Dude,
Yeah, it's
this
bad.
is the dumbest setup of a coupon I've ever seen or card perk. $30 a month. You can only use it once a month. And then it's capped at what, $250 a year or $240 a year? If you do the math there, that doesn't add up to one a month.
No, I mean, and it's never going to get you a full discount on. You're still gonna. It's like a coupon. That's what it seems like to me. And the whole coupon book thing. Do you think the Admirals Club passes though unlimited? I mean, a lot of people aren't using Admirals Club 100 times a year.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you don't have the more premium card or you don't have access in some other way through status or whatever. And we talked about status matches in the past that could get you Admirals Club access. So maybe you have it through that. I do like that these aren't blocked because there's nothing worse than if you fly AA like let's say 4 times a year and you're like, okay, this is cool, nice perks, and then you go to the lounge and they're like, oh, we're at capacity, you can't come in. So that's cool that these get around the capacity issues and things like that. I would put them at a value of like $25 a pass, something like that. If you get a couple drinks and some food, I wouldn't, you buy them for whatever price, $50 or more. I wouldn't put it at that value because I don't think anybody gets $50 worth of value for the most part. But I think that's like $100 right there if you can maximize them.
So with $350 annual fee, you can kind of twist yourself to say, okay, there's some value here. But the point being, why? And I guess the whole flyer that they're trying to get is the person who's occasionally flying AA, so they want to feel good. They have lounge access. Maybe they're bringing their companion for $99 to Hawaii or something where they're getting value there. But I mean, overall, you're kind of jumping through hoops here. Of course, you're getting the free check bag, the better boarding, $100 to spend on board. So maybe now when you get on board, you feel better about your whole AA ecosystem. But I would avoid the $350 annual fee. Although as we pointed out, the welcome offer is not terrible, although it's not the highest we've seen across AA cards ever before.
Yeah, I think people would be better off just getting the $95 annual fee card. The offer is somewhat in the same realm. Often it comes back to like 80K every once in a while, 75K, stuff like that. So you could grab that, and the annual fees waive the first year. So you're $350 ahead right away. And you don't have to jump through any hoops. And then after the first year, you can call, ask for reconsideration. A lot of times they waive that annual fee. You still get the bags. You get to earn loyalty points and miles. It's a decent setup. So I don't know what, yeah, like you said, I don't know what the real perk of this card is. Why would somebody get this instead of that card? It doesn't seem to offer a ton of stuff. They offered a mid-tier card just to offer a mid-tier card when they could have done something unique with it. And you only get one loyalty point per dollar, which their wording is really weird. It makes it sound like you get a loyalty point for every mile earned, which isn't the case when you go back down into the terms deeper, which is the same as the first card. Now, that would have been interesting if you earn 2x and they're like, you get 2x loyalty points too. All right, now we got a card. You don't even need to throw the other perks in there, really. Maybe like one travel credit thing, and people would have been jumping over themselves to get it.
Which is why they didn't do it. It's too generous. But you're right. I mean, here is a premium card, right, above a regular entry level card, a mid tier, we'll call it, with a $350 annual fee, even though that used to be considered a premium sort of annual fee. But yeah, you would think that there would be some bigger acceleration on the earning. And even if it's not 2x, if it's 1.25x, or if it's something that accelerates you along the way.
Yeah, 1.5, 1.25, whatever it be, something above the 1x, and people would have been like, okay, I'm going to twist and turn through these hoops to get most of my annual fee back, or maybe the whole annual fee, but it's worth keeping this card because I'm earning extra loyalty points. And they just miss it. Or even like a spending bonus, which some other cards have, make it, more enriching than you see on some of the other cards, like the business card and stuff like that. I don't know, but they could have come up with something. It just blows my mind that the same bank that came up with the Citi Prestige, which was insane, everybody loved, probably the best card ever made to this day, still. And then you come out with two clunkers when you go back into the premium space. I don't get it. And it's so bad that people that have legacy prestige cards, after they gutted it down to like the bare studs, still won't give that up for their new premium Strata Elite.
I've always wondered, and I haven't got a great answer on this from the big banks, on how they determine these credit card products. I think about in the gaming industry with slot machines, and you have these mathematicians who are figuring out the math of the slot machine, and then you have graphic artists and game designers that are figuring out how to translate that math to a machine and make sure that the payments are all the same and all that. Is there something on the credit card side where they have, okay, here's the annual fee, here's all the benefits we could offer, or is Citi just got a big wheel and they're spinning the wheel, seeing where it lands, and then they put it out there? But is there a person that's so I've talked with Built about this when they were developing their product, but they were a much smaller company, and so it was really all hands on deck with their executives to figure this out. But I wonder at a company like Citi how this sort of comes down the pike, because I imagine the AA team is separate from the in-house thank you team.
Yeah.
And who's making all of these decisions.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the problem. And the same with business and personal. They're just all different entities, almost like their own little companies. And they're not really good at making a unified idea of what this should be like. Like the business card should supplement the mid-tier premium card or something like. So there's a reason to hold both if you really want to grow this. And that's not what they're doing. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like they're trying to make each card a reason to hold the card. And I don't know. It's not a well thought out plan. It's not a whole company diving in. Even if you just had like the AA team all working together on all their cards, I think it would look a lot better. Behind the scenes, we've heard from many people that work within Citi that it's kind of crazy in there right now, and kind of a bit of a mess. And you can see this on their offerings, what they're launching and bringing to the market.
I will say on the co-branded side, I do know, like, for instance, I've spoken with the person at Hilton who handles their liaison with American Express. So there is a person at AA, I'm sure, that is in charge of this program and determining all the benefits. And obviously there's a whole team at Hilton that does that for Hilton, but there is an executive who goes to American Express and advocates. So there's probably a lot of back and forth here, but I agree, Citi hasn't pulled it off as well as Chase and American Express and some of these other banks in this coupon book era.
Yeah, if you just look at the Hilton cards, they complement each other fairly well, or at least when you go from one to the next, it goes up, the multipliers go up. There's like you can tell what the benefit is for taking the step to the next card. I think they do a really good job there. I hate what they did to the business card. They basically nuked the value there. So I wish they would have never taken away that free night cert. I think that was a big mistake on their part. But other than that, on the personal side of things, it really does make sense and it tracks the whole way up the ladder. And they've even I'm guessing that's why American Express doesn't have family rules with the Hilton cards where they do pretty much all the other cards, because I'm guessing that person from Hilton was like, "No, we don't want that. We want people to hold the Aspire and the Surpass because there is a reason to hold both of those."
Yeah, and all I can say is my time with Hilton, it is very thought out. All of their offerings, all of the perks from the bottom to the top, what is driving business, where the data is. So, yeah, all these companies are looking at it, and we don't know where Citi lands with all of this. But let's keep talking Citi, the Strata Elite, like you hinted at earlier. They had this whole issue earlier in the year when the card came out and people were getting approved for the card, and then it was saying we need to do ID verification for you. They were even asking some people to fill out a 4506 so they could get their whole tax transcripts, and that caused delays in. Yeah, I mean it's
I
nuts to
never
think
even
about
heard
that.
of that before until this. I've never heard of that. I
The
don't
only
even know why that's where you go.
The only time I ever had to deal with that form was when I worked in mortgage, and we would have to get it for people to give us access to their tax returns. So, yeah, I never heard of it from a bank before. But this delayed people. They weren't able to get their cars. They weren't able to start spending for their bonus. And then what was it? They gave them 30 extra days initially. Then the Wall Street Journal writes about it. And obviously, they have changed their tune and they're being overly generous now.
Yeah, and that shows you what journalism can do. And we've seen this even in our space with the smaller blogs. If you put it out there and it gets picked up somewhere, or it becomes something like on Miles to Memories, we wrote about the Frontier charging a COVID fee or cleaning fee or something weird. I forget exactly what it was. And that got picked up by like 200 different newspapers, and Frontier canceled that fee like the very next day. So sometimes that pressure, and people get mad when we write about things or write negative about something, and they're like, well, why are you writing it like this? It's like, not everything we write is to you. Sometimes it's to the brands, and sometimes we're trying to be a voice of the people, and we're putting it in that lens or that scope, and trying to get pushback. I mean, we've had run-ins with Citi and their verification processes in the past, and how it's the worst I've ever seen, and it doesn't make sense. We wrote about that. They read it, they said they're going to change, and they didn't. And that's kind of, what we see here this time. The Wall Street Journal, big enough that if they write anything, it's going to get, eyeballs. And this one went really big, and they made quick changes where they refunded the full annual fee, and they gave you the bonus points without having to complete the spend, which I think is above and beyond what they needed to do. I think just giving the points would have been fine, but giving the annual fee refund also rewards people for their time that they spent making phone calls, dealing with this frustration. Even though it was forced, I think it was a really well done apology.
And it's something companies don't think about enough is the time of your customer as we go more automated. And we've all dealt with some of these automated phone trees where it's harder to get to a person, or where you get to a person and they've outsourced that initial lower level tech or rep on the phone, and they don't have a lot of knowledge or ability to help you. So then you have to get transferred to somebody else. You've talked about all your travel woes on the show. And it's like these companies are implementing practices that make it harder for the customer. And then they don't always recognize that when something goes wrong, that maybe they should make it right. And I think that Citi, I mean, they were forced to do this, it seems like, right? The pressure of the public. But yeah, giving them the annual fee, saying, I'm sorry that this happened to you, whatever our internal thing was, I think is a good deal. And it's something we see less and less of in today's society is we see consumers more upset about everything and making a spectacle of everything and taking out phones and filming and all of this. And then on the other side, you have businesses being more indignant and saying, we're not going to go out of our way, and nobody wants to take responsibility here. And yeah, good on Citi for that. Even if they had to be forced to it, that is part of the system, as you say now, is social media, is influencers, is smaller blogs, is the media as it gets up the food chain to put pressure on companies. And it's just one of the tools we have and that we have to use in 2025.
Yeah, and it blows my mind that they went this far. Like the IRS form, the tax form. How do you go there for verification? It just seems like complete overkill? Like, was that just a trip in the system and nobody thought, hey, this seems a bit crazy. Like, what are we doing here? We already approved them for the card. They've been using it for a bit, and now all of a sudden we want this thing. And when you compare it to, what we talked about with the fraud verification on a new card and the charges getting declined and them wanting to call Chase Bank to verify that I had a credit card with Chase, that I fed them over the phone, which if I stole a wallet, I would have that person's Citi card and that person's Chase card. It doesn't verify anything. You go from that end where it makes no sense and you're doing no verification to, basically wanting like blood out of your first newborn to verify you. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's always been crazy the way they do verifications. And just for people who don't know what a 4506 is, it's literally giving them access to all of your tax data. So not just your 1040 forms, but every deduction, everything. Like they can pull all of your tax data with that form. So like I said, when you're getting a mortgage, sometimes they require it. It's not most of the time required for mortgage in my experience, but I'm not up on the latest at this particular moment. But just be aware of that. Citi also is shutting down some Strata Elite cards too. Doctor of Credit was reporting. So on the other side, maybe when they got into this whole thing, they found some customers they didn't like so well. We don't really know any data points on why they're getting shut down, but it is happening. And Citi has done this in the past for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, how messy can this launch be? You got a premium card that comes out to like complete flat line. Nobody's very excited about it. And you come out with 80,000, you give 100,000 in branch, which you don't have there very many branches. So people couldn't do that. They were reaching out to bankers, getting it online. And then there was leaked links that would get you the 100K. So one of the theories is those links are what are people getting shut down. But there's also people that use those links and are available. So that's one caution. If it's a leaked link and you don't need to log in to verify that you're eligible for it, then there's potential you do it at your own risk. So that could be causing it. It could be people taking advantage of the 6X on weekends. Who knows what the cause is? It could be people gave their tax forms and they're like, wait a second, you don't make anywhere near what you said you make, or something like that. Who knows? But it's just this is supposed to be a premium card, white glove service. You're not supposed to have to worry about all this, and it's been as messy as it can be.
I will go back and say on the 4506, I have heard of American Express asking for it when they do a review, a financial review of your account. So, maybe that does happen when you do it. But yeah, it's probably unprofitable customers.
But that's like a targeted.
Yeah,
makes sense. You're spending more than we thought you should. Let me get this.
Thinking about the YouTube comments, Mark. I always going to try to stay one step ahead of the comments.
But this is just randomly. Hey, you just signed up. You use your card like 5 times. We need this form. It's just crazy.
It is a crazy bank, and I'm glad that they're here. They're one of the biggest banks in the world. They should be bigger, we feel like, in the credit card space than they are. And always an enigma, I think, Citi, and one that I like. I mean, they've certainly given me a lot of points over the years, and I'm so happy. I mean, heck, this year, the one thing they did for me, AA transfers from Thank You, which was about as good as it gets.
That's huge. That's huge. But that also, if they would have launched this AA card 2 years ago, maybe it would have been more exciting. With now Thank You points being a transfer partner of AA, you really need to make it a perk bundle that is unique to AA and something exciting. Like just earning their miles isn't that great anymore because you can earn it with Thank You cards at a better rate and then just transfer them over. So I'm going to get an AA card for the perks or for earning status. And this one didn't do either thing well.
So let's move on to Rove Miles. This is a new portal, shopping portal, travel portal. Now, I know Travel on Points has a partnership with them, but have you been using it? I have not used it. I don't have any experience with it. But this is a place where you can like earn miles on shopping, earn miles when booking travel, and then they also have transfer partners, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a Rakuten as far as for the front end shopping portal thing. And Carissa over there, who's written for the Points Guy and a whole bunch of other places, she's kind of spearheading the front end marketing of this. Reached out and said, "Hey, would you guys give this a look over?" So we gave it a deep dive a little bit, and then were willing to give top readers 1,000 points in their system just for being a top reader. So if you go through the link in the write-up, you'll get that 1,000 points. And that's even if you've been using the program already. If you haven't, sign up for it. Click through that link, and then there's a little blue link to sign up. You get 500 points for a normal referral like you would get from anybody's referral. And then you also get the 1,000 bonus points. So 1,500 points Works like a shopping portal, like you would with Rakuten, and then they also have the travel booking portal, which is similar to what you see with the banks and everything. So normal caveats for that, as far as when you book through that, you're adding another person, another chef to the kitchen, which can cause problems, and you might not earn loyalty points or elite nights and stuff like that. But they're giving out these crazy rates that don't make financial sense to me. I don't know where they're coming up with, but you're earning like 40x, 50x sometimes on some hotels. And these are miles that transfer to 11 or 12 transfer partners, including KLM, All Accor, stuff like that. And it's like, man, this is just insane. And maybe it's just the rollout and they're coming out real strong to get people into the system and take advantage while you can, I think. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I mean that's been the case with different things over the years where they offer outsized value and it never lasts, right? At some point the bill comes due. So they have 11 airline partners: Aeromexico, Air France KLM, Air India, Cathay Pacific, Etihad, Finnair, Hainan, Qatar, Thai, Turkish, and Vietnam Airlines. And then they have the one hotel partner, which is Accor. Now all the airlines are 1-to-1 transfers. Accor is 1.5-to-1, which is not atypical. Their points are worth more, and we've talked about that program quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, this could be good. Always, compare, I guess, rates, especially on the shopping portal side, with what you're doing elsewhere. I have not tried this out yet, but it's always good to see more competitors, and then also pushing the limits of what we can do. Adding another program with transfer partners, that should only open the door for more to come, hopefully.
Yeah, I would use this as a shopping portal if it's comparable to what you could get elsewhere, or maybe even a little bit better. And maybe they have a partner that Amex doesn't have that you want to go through Rakuten. When you're booking through travel, it's interesting at codes. I think it's like code 711 or 7011, lodging and stuff. So codes is just general hotel stay. So you have to use a card that earns in that, like Amex Green, Wells Fargo Autograph Journey. And that's if you book flights or hotels. So that's a little bit weird. On the flight side, you're not going to earn that flight multiplier. And on the hotel side, you're not going to earn, like, let's say you book a Hilton through there, you're not going to earn the 12x. Now, some of their hotels, you will earn elite night credits. It works that way, and it will be notated in that when you're searching it. So it should do that. And they're saying they're coming out with a future generation soon that you should earn the multipliers on the hotels too. It will be like booking directly type of thing, is what I assume. Now, on the airline side, I don't know if it codes that way, if that messes up your what you would get for travel protections and stuff. I don't know how all that works. It's something to consider, be wary of. But if you have like a non-hotel, non-chain hotel stay, I think this is the first place I would look. Compare booking directly, see how the price matches up. If it's in the same ballpark and you're earning like 10, 15, 20x miles, that's crazy.
Yeah, and rack them up and give it a try. And the whole write up on top kind of goes into all of the caveats, all the things that you just mentioned. So, what's good, what's bad, where you should look, where you should compare. And yeah, they're giving you free miles. So, check it out. We don't have any affiliation. Mark works also at Travel on Points. That's their affiliate link, just to spell all that out. And always good to see more options in the marketplace. And let's close with this. This is something I wasn't aware of all my trips to China, and I did not know these existed. 24-hour spas in mainland China and Attractions 360. This is an account I follow, goes to amusement theme parks all over the world, but also travels all over the world and shares things. One of the things I like about this account is they share pictures of economy class meals when they're flying internationally, because you still get meals in economy class, but influencers, right? Everybody wants to share business class, all this stuff. So they do that. But they went to a few different 24-hour spas in China, and it's just like it sounds. Just think about all the things you would have at a spa. You have food. Most of them include like a buffet at dinner. There's different sleeping areas, and you pay between 50 to 150 bucks depending on how nice it is. I think they shared examples of like a lower end one and a higher end one. I mean, the $150 one just looks insane. And I need to do this. I need to go back to China just to go to one of these 24-hour spas.
Sounds like YMCA lock-in when you were a kid.
But so much nicer. Yeah. I mean,
Did you guys just, I know, yeah, but the same type of thing. And everybody loved those because you could do whatever you wanted all night. And, oh, I'm going to go get a massage, or I'm going to go sit in the hot tub or whatever. And there you would play basketball and stuff. And then, oh, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to go lay down over here.
Yeah. We had it at our bowling alley when I was a kid. They would do these overnight parties where we would be locked in, which is cool. But I mean, this is like, fruit buffet, you get all the fruit. It's kind of healthy. You steams and ices and all this sort of stuff. and it looks really pretty. And it just reminds me of like, this is something completely different culturally than we have here. I mean, we have spas here, but also why there's such a value in China, like going elsewhere. Like, how much would you pay for that kind of, I mean, just think of 24 hours in a high end spa in the United States, how much you would pay. I think my day passes at Fontainebleau for my wife and I were more than that.
Yeah, and they blew on the rocks there and made you pass out.
Wrong show. People have no context for that.
Well, they gotta go watch the Vegas show. No, I would assume like $400 or $500 if it's a really nice spa and everything's included: food, drinks, services, all that stuff. It's pretty insane, and I think it'd be fun if you're doing it like when you first land and you're jet lagged or something. Go in there, or maybe before you fly out, just have like 12 hours of relaxation after hopping around everywhere and all the drainage that travel can bring your way. So I would check it out for sure. I'm assuming they have to have them in other countries too. We just don't know about it.
Yeah, I think that probably is the case throughout Asia. Obviously, spa culture is big there, but the whole 24-hour all-inclusive thing was new to me. Other interesting things that this person on this recent trip to China, glass bottom water slides, which are really interesting. They look very sketchy. And they also, all throughout China now, apparently have that Mario Kart thing we talked about on a previous show, the toboggans down the hill with all of the obstacles and stuff. So
Death.
just remember when you go places, check those types of activities out over the big sites that you're going to see.
Oh, you can tell that they don't have the lawsuit culture there yet, because there's no way that those Mario Kart ones don't end up in serious injury at least once a day.
If nobody knows about it, then did it even happen? I mean, I can't say anything. I've talked about it before. I've ridden the sketchiest coasters in China. They don't really exist anymore. I mean, the whole industry over the last 20 years has gotten better, but lots of cool stuff there. And that's a great account to follow, not just for like theme park stuff, but for travel stuff, because just the wacky stuff there. When you're going out of your way to do, this is one of the bigger accounts that does like POVs of like amusement dark rides and stuff like that. When you're going out of your way to capture all that stuff around the world, not just being at the mainstream parks, you tend to go to these weird, wacky places, and they really embrace that. And I love accounts like that. It's not about theme parks, it's about travel and really all the cool things they encounter along the way. And because of their job, they get to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I think it's I'm definitely going to check it out and scroll a little bit, see what they got.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Citi, the Strata Elite, giving everybody the annual fee, all that stuff. The new card as well.
Not
what
everybody.
Do you think about not everybody. Everybody who, well, see
Yeah,
caveats.
you're worried about
above.
YouTube comments and you come up with that.
Hey, it's just recapping all of that. Parenthood and melancholy, kids growing up, all the stuff, vacation homes, the things we talked about at the beginning of the show. Leave a comment. We do a new show every Monday, and we also have our Vegas show Tuesdays and Fridays on the other channel. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.